Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series, Noragami. This was yet another episode to love and adore by the end of it, because it had a little bit of everything. Comedy, drama, action, adventure, suspense, and a little bit of mystery thrown in for good measure by the end, with a new character that has debuted, but more on that in a moment. We essentially pick up with Yato introducing to Hiyori and Yuki, or Yukine is how I think I'm hearing him pronounce Yukine's name. I thought it was Yukine or Yuki, but it's actually Yukine as far as I can tell. But in any case, he's introducing to them this little miniature phantom kitten-looking thing that absolutely looks funny and adorable. And the whole purpose is because Yuki has shown such power and such, adept ability in his regalia form, basically being the samurai blade, the katana blade, that Yato figures it's soon enough for the next step to teach him this way of, basically bringing forth a barrier. He puts his fingers together and he slices across the path of a phantom, and he creates this energy barrier that is supposed to be unbreakable by a phantom. And so it's interesting how this comes into play later in the episode, but before we get to that point, it just gets absolutely hysterically funny when we see that Hiyori is becoming very sort of maternal and protective over Yuki, because she feels like Yato's bum lifestyle, the fact that he has no place to live, he has no means of getting food, he's hardly making any money to survive on, he's basically sleeping outside of shrines of worship and things like that with Yuki at his side. She wants to take care of Yuki. She doesn't want Yato's lifestyle, for lack of a better term, to give a poor impression and basically have Yuki be put upon. So she's like, come to my house and I'll take care of you. And of course, all of this sort of depraved ideas start cropping up in Yuki's head, and it's affecting Yato because of their mind link and everything. He's getting shocks and zaps of pain every time Yukine has a salacious idea about Hiyori and everything like that. But she eventually, puts it to Yukine, do you want to go with Yato or do you want to go with me? And of course, my man, he's like, I'm going with the girl, pal, sorry. So essentially, Hiyori brings him home, and, the parents aren't there right away. They're going to be late that night, which is like just sending the thoughts through Yukine's head all the time, and probably zapping Yato within an inch of his life, which is why he shows up later. But there's a point where, like a maidservant comes in who's taking care of the house, and she completely is oblivious to Yuki's presence, because we know they can't be seen usually unless they're trying to be seen or somebody has an adept ability, sort of empathic sense and all these kind of things. So essentially, Hiyori's like, my plan worked. I was able to sneak him in, and nobody's going to know the wiser. He can sleep in my elder brother's room, who's not here, and all this stuff. And of course, we see comical events like Yuki trying to take a bath and thinking, oh my god, he's getting the heats because he thinks Hiyori had just been in the bath. Turns out, no, it was her elderly father and all this stuff. And when the parents come home, that's when, of course, Yato sneaks in and starts sort of, I guess, mentally controlling or bending the will of her father in stealing food, having a beer, and all this kind of stuff, just being an idiot as usual. And it's very interesting because Hiyori approaches him and is like, what are you doing here? I'm trying to make life better for Yuki when he's not with you, not stay out on the streets and have a home, a roof over his head and everything like that. And this will be better for him in the long run, is Hiyori's position. And this is when Yato just lays down the law. He's like, look, from the mind link that I have with him, I understand that he is afraid of the dark. He's afraid of all these, monsters and boogeymen that are in the dark. He's not going to really handle this as well as you think he will. And this proves to be true because, of course, you have Hiyori's father shutting off the light in the brother's room that Yuki's supposed to be staying in, and he eventually comes to her room and says, I'm really kind of uncomfortable. Can we do something about this? And she's like, well, pile up into my bed. Of course, the thoughts are going to be racing. All those salacious thoughts are going to be racing through Yuki's head, and all of a sudden Yato shows up, and he's like, dude, what is going on? What are you, why are you thinking all these dirty thoughts and everything? And it's absolutely hilarious, but the episode takes this masterful turn where we have this mystery character, this blonde woman riding a lion who seems to be a goddess, I'm assuming, because she's taking out phantoms like Yato does, although she's doing it much quicker and more grand in scale, firing an automatic weapon, a gun essentially that looks like it might be a Desert Eagle. Her character just screams to me like something reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid, the look of her character, and the fact that she's riding around on a lion is pretty badass, across the sky and everything like that, taking out these giant phantoms. So, we basically see her do that, and she's being sort of talked to on this little radio signal thing, and of course, at some point later, Hiyori has taken Yuki out shopping, and he's talking about, well, I can borrow things. I can kind of sort of steal things, but I'll bring it back if I want to. Nobody can see me. And she's kind of scolding him again, that maternal instinct that she has, trying to teach him a lesson, and all this stuff is happening. But he ends up running off because of it, and he's caught in the dark. He doesn't realize how long he's sort of wandered. And there's just this really heart-wrenching moment where he sees the spirit of a little girl, and, you're not sure exactly what's going on, but she notices him and notices that, he can see her. And it's just heartbreaking to see that she was the victim of, a car accident, that kind of thing. She died on that sidewalk, and she doesn't realize it. She still thinks her mother's going to be coming to pick her up that night, many, days or weeks or years later, whatever it was. And it's just heart-wrenching because Yuki wants to help her. He doesn't know how. And he says, all right, I'll stay with you. I'll protect you. I'll wait with you for your mother, who's never going to be showing up. And this is when the phantoms show up, and all hell breaks loose because you have Yuki trying to save this girl. He uses the barrier thing, but it's 2 seconds too late because her soul's already become possessed. She's transformed into a phantom. Yato shows up on the scene to try to save him and Hiyori, who has also shown up on the scene. And then we have this just grand battle once again where Yato has to destroy what this little girl has become. And for Yukine, it's just terrible. It's horrible. He doesn't want to see this happen. He doesn't want this little girl's soul extinguished, but that is the only recourse, as Yato tells him, because she'll just have her soul be tormented in hell for eternity as a phantom and all this stuff. And of course, they take it out very reluctantly on Yukine's part, and it's, that's it. That's pretty much where we leave it, with the exception of the fact that, of course, we then shoot back to this mystery woman who's in a hot spring being told, that Yato and the regalia, his new regalia, has been watched. They took out a phantom and all this stuff, and it seems like she's very perturbed about this. What is the relationship between her and Yato? I have to wonder, who is she? Again, I say the look of her character is just badass. It looks like something straight out of Metal Gear Solid. And then the fact that she's been riding a lion, taking out many of these giant phantoms, and she's got this ominous concern with Yato and his, air quotes, new regalia. They made a key point of saying that it was a new regalia, so it seems like there's history there. I can't wait to see them reveal more about this character. Seems like, as per the preview for the next episode, that's the direction we're going, and of course, I'm loving this series. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 5 of Noragami, if you've seen it. So yeah, otherwise, that'll be it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.